Welcome everyone to another update about iPads. And I thought about the previous event a little bit more actually, because we used them so little. iPad the first, remember a decade ago, right? As a Mac developer back in the day, we even purchased that. When is that thick and heavy? The first and the last I got, even I use this so little, I'm more creator. You see this here live on YouTube. It's laying here for testing in the office. It didn't even turn it on in 4 weeks. And I probably need to charge this. But I thought about this stuff a little bit more. The new iPad, and I have to come to the conclusion, does Apple hate Macs? Also focus. Because when you take a look at this here, this is also funny. Okay, fine, whatever. I have to say the iOS devices, iPads here, they are better than the latest Mac offerings. And when you take a look here, the MacBook Air, of course, not super most amazing display-wise, and MacBook Pro not yet released with M1, maybe they wait for M1X. And in general, not yet complete redesign, still the touch bar most users hate. And then when you take a look at the tech specs, I said this in the discussion of the previous video, that this is way too high-end for iOS, right? And a lot of people agree with that. Like M1, obviously, a 14 set or something would of course have been enough. But yeah, M1, and even so, this is, Apple must have hate the MacBook Air also. When you take a look at here, 8 working core GPU, I thought the MacBook Air includes the less. Actually, we could fact check that while we do that. And also the Mac Mini, I said this, not super most impressed with the chin. So many people hate the chin, the lack of logo, small thing, also the external power supply, and so on. Let's just check here the MacBook Air tech specs, because I'm not even with all this chaotic. Yeah, so apparently maybe only the entry level models. And so especially the display, right? The display in the MacBook Air rather lackluster. Do they even include a spec here of LED, backlit, IPS? And then you have the iPad Pro. In my opinion, this is totally out of balance, right? You have a totally state-of-the-art liquid Retina XDR display in the 12.9 inch iPad Pro. And also you can configure this, right? I mean, the way you can configure this is also crazy. You can't even use this much, especially the Thunderbolt, of course. But yeah, $2,399 for a freaking tablet, right? And Apple said, so this, to me, this makes no sense. Of course, Apple makes advertisements that, hey, you can camera workflow and use it on the set and whatnot. But I would argue if you do professional video shooting stuff, you don't use an iPad camera for that. And I would even go as far, I would even buy this. I need a new Mac anyway. I would buy this if it would be able to run macOS and similar to the M1 based Mac devices, allow unlocking the bootloader to boot Linux. That would be amazing. So if we could not only macOS but unlock the bootloader and boot Linux, that would actually be quite recommendable, especially with this quite good CPU and outstanding display. But they don't, right? And this is also, users always like, yeah, macOS Macs are fine. Apple allows still some building your own code and stuff. Because what is the difference, right? The difference is a artificial fragmentation. And this is previously the people always said, yeah, but iOS runs on lesser A12 something ARM CPU and macOS on Intel previously. Now there is no such excuse anymore, right? There is no technical reason Apple would have to limit this like they do and into this different macOS and iOS ecosystems. And they always portray it like it's for the user, because we know it best how to design it and holding and touch and design and stuff. But if it's for the user, then give us a choice. the users know best. And I saw, this is the last iPad, I don't even know how old this is, must already be 6, 7, if not 8. Also, by the way, I said this so often, never buy a freaking iPad with a bright, this is totally contrast destroying. Because if you have content here, you have white, black line, and it just looks ugly. If it's off, it looks ugly. Anyway, Apple said here in some interview that Mac Rumors here quotes, or is done with, that conflicting stories, iPad and Mac. Also, I really hate the stories, right? These are not fairy tales. This is not magic. These are freaking technical devices. And don't tell me stories about my car if I want to drive my car somewhere or do the oil change myself or whatever. That's up to me, right? And if it's a freaking computer, I want to do whatever I want to do with it. So apparently they have no, if you look at the two products, obviously, iPad, I mean, thinner. I mean, who cares about freaking thinner? We care about advertising galore. No plan, where was it? Merge. Oh, darn. Where was it? Really growing, not very limited to categories. Makes them. The reality is neither is true. Quite proud of the fact that that we work really hard to create the best products in their respective categories. And this is really a little bit bullshit, in my opinion, because always this uncle, big brother knowing what is best for the users, and shrinking is a huge undertaking. I think this is the end of macOS, to be honest, because what is Apple doing? Apple is bringing only features from iOS to Mac and not Mac to iOS. And this is, of course, quite limiting the way you can use this. You cannot have, not right now, you can't have Xcode and full versions of Final Cut Pro and stuff. And sure, Apple can maybe at the WWDC bring out Xcode for iPad, and maybe they will. But for me, this is too compromised, right? I don't want this app wallet garden compromise thing, and I'm certainly not spending $1,000 to $2,000 or even more dollars or euros for this stuff. And this is also Apple is losing potential sales, right? I've not brought a new Mac since the DTK, otherwise since 6 years. I've not brought a new iPad since also 6 years or so. And I will not make this mistake again. And this is a recurring theme here, right? How these big mega corporations press through their corporate agenda, and that's not fairy tales and magic and stories, it's just profit margin. And this is, I think Apple hates the Mac, as you see here previously, 10 years barely updated, only CPU refreshes in the iMac, also the Mac Pro, right? And if you look at all the other devices, Mac Pro, then a maximum of 16 gigs of memory, which is on the iMac and Mac Mini, of course, which is of course laughable. Even can I have, I think maybe even in my Intel Mac Mini from soon a decade ago, maybe I even have 32 gigs of memory in there. But yeah, the amount is laughable, especially if you do pro work, some virtual machine there, some big other programs there. And 16 gigs are laughable, and especially this is the maximum you can configure the iPad for. So I think I really get to the impression and conclusion that Apple hates the Mac because it's not such a profit core, right? People can install their own applications still. And to me, it becomes increasingly clear that the open Mac platform, the days are counted. And each year, Apple will only, we have seen this gatekeeper required to sign up Apple Developer Program to compile and distribute your own applications without users having to disable system security settings and so on. And Apple sees Apple only sees dollars and not a tool, not to help people. This is also Apple always so green and helping people. No, they're not helping. They are artificially limiting their users of what they can do, because there is nothing limiting users to use macOS. And the irony is, that macOS, a lot of dialogues already look like touch-friendly. This dialogues, okay, and of course, as usual, the, what is it called, panel, is it NS alert, panel something, they're already looking iOS-like now, or also, you can't, so many people say this, all the UI changes mostly make sense for touch friendliness. Of course, as usual, when you have one dialogue, yeah, like this dialogues, you can tell me whatever you want, but this looks so touch optimized that it looks so touch optimized, yet they have not a touch Mac and much more outstanding iPad Pros, and they have such dialogues like this, but there's also like yes, no, and stuff like this kind of, yeah, not really sure what exactly is hypermenu navigation, not exactly sure what exactly that is. Anyway, I only wanted to share this thoughts here. This is, we will see in some years. And this is also a little bit, Apple is lacking a little bit public, dependable future. Normally big mega corporations that, well, should provide a little bit more guidance. I saw people on Twitter, developers, furious, even on some news sites, some editors. This is also the irony, right? I tell here some common sense of my observations, and then on big editors, on big news sites, furious of, I just purchased a Mac Mini and now they have the 10 gig Ethernet modules. Like, yeah, why do you buy day zero announce stuff? Or I brought the MacBook Air and now the iPad Pro is so much better. It's like, yeah, don't buy this stuff on the release day, right? And if you prefer the iPad Pro, then don't buy a MacBook Air. It's so simple, right? But yeah, we will see in some years to come how this develops. For me, this is the fact that the iPad Pro with this kind of specs, M1, Thunderbolt, XDR, Liquid, what do they call it? I always forget the marketing names. Liquid Retina XDR. How's this names? Liquid Retina XDR display. I mean, this like 3 marketing terms in. Yeah. Anyway, this does not look very good from, as far as I can see, for the future of Mac. And of course, that Apple now says we have no plans, right? We have no plans to build a wall. Like, we don't have plans to merge that, except then a year or two later, also price. It makes more sense now we merged it. So it's like, yeah. But also, this is also, to me, so much, people always think Apple is magic and has only 10x engineers and stuff. But a lot of stuff, the original iPad didn't live long. I think just on like 2 years. It has a Samsung 32-bit ARM Samsung SoC, not even Apple own. So underpowered that just 2 years in, it was so slow that Apple ceased to support that. Probably should install Linux on this, right? Also, Apple was not particularly fast with undo. The iPhone and iPad very long didn't have undo. Was it iOS 3? At least it took a while. Copy and paste, actually, don't remember, but and then this shake to undo, it's like, yeah. And Apple could, with Big Sur, already have united these platforms, and this is, to me, all a little bit maximum present day profits, which sure is everyone company's right to maximize present day profits, but don't pretend that Apple is the most innovative and fast moving and whatnot company if they do everything, yeah, iMac updates, right, Mac Pro updates. As usual with these transitions, especially if they will end it anyway, it's of course a little bit strange that you can still, I mean, when it came out, it was already overpriced and somewhat underpowered with this pricing. But now it makes even less sense, right? Just how much is it, a year in or so with the ARM transition, and don't buy that probably. And did I actually switch to, what did I even do navigation-wise? Anyway, really strange situations there being on the Mac and iOS side. Leave in the comments below what are your impressions. But my prediction is they will merge that. It might take another 5 years. Each year, my estimation is each year they will make macOS more like iOS. That then in some years to come, there will not be much of a difference left. Of course, in some years, in like a year or two, probably in 2 years, they stop supporting Intel Macs anyway, and then everything is ARM. And until then, this already started to look similar, touch-friendly, and so on. And what even Big Sur panel? What even search results are this? But yeah, to me, it's also strange that they design this touch-friendly and then don't have touch-friendly Macs so much to that kind of magic, outstanding development. So yeah, but leave in the comments below what you think. This is mostly just my 2 cents here on a Sunday. And a little bit of a warning, if you are very deep in this ecosystem, there are certainly, given Apple's history for the last decade, and quite some major changes to come. And if you invest heavily, because obviously this stuff isn't that cheap. Can we go back to, probably need to reconfigure that. Stuff is not cheap if you configure a little bit of more stuff. Also, yeah, a starting price similar to MacBook Air. And I slightly wonder this, what is it, $10.99? You know what you get? Okay, you don't get a keyboard, but you get, it's like, I mean, yeah, also starting price $10.99 without cellular. But I slightly wonder if you get, where's the tech specs? Ah, darn, this is always a little bit, because I wonder what kind of CPU you get. I wonder if you get the, also, so some details, you only get more memory. This is also a little bit funny, you can't configure the memory manually. You get 8 gigs. I missed this also, there's also details that you always miss, or it's not even clearly printed here. Except if you go to the technical details side, you automatically get the higher amount of memory with 16 gigs instead of 8 if you choose more storage. So from which also a little bit shady, you want more memory and then you need to overspend on storage. They have this somewhere here in the small print. Here 8 gigs for up to 512 gigs and 16. So like, yeah, this is a little bit, I really hate this combined option SKU stuff, because this is only made to customers to overspend, and like, yeah, 512 gigs storage would be enough, already pricey enough, but yeah, for 16 gig of memory you need to pay even more. And of course there is no technical reason for this. This is just Apple overcharging their reality distortion field customers through their nose. Anyway, that's just some thoughts here and what is my impression of the future of those. And welcome everyone. Thanks for joining. Fucking rights, we all know that. Well, we all know this, yet the press praises Apple and all the fanboys. I know that. I don't buy new stuff. Just need to point here out the obvious and stuff. Accessory and portable workstation, tablets that had the same amount of power in the beginner models. Tyson key. What do you think the chances of iPad Pro being jailbroken, bootloader unlocked, and Ashai being ported? Yeah, so this is a good question. I would guess, I mean, this probably will happen. The Ashai efforts are a little bit faster than I thought, also, of course, with the code dump from this virtualization company there. Whatever they were. Of course, it's always hard work, and so people, this is also, the stuff should be unlocked, in my opinion, right? You spend extremely overpriced AAA money for this stuff. It should come with the freedom of owning the computer and doing the right, not only a right to repair, but maybe I should start an effort here of right to fully own and do as you please with your own shit. It could be fast if you are lucky, but I mean, Apple improves security, so my impression is each year it becomes harder and harder. They usually don't repeat the same mistakes again and again. So I guess the stuff that allowed checkra currently on most iOS device socks, like up to 8.12 set or so, probably should be fixed in the M1. And I mean, it could also take like years, right? It's not, if the stuff is like really secure, there might be never a security issue found, right? You can't rely on jailbreaking, unlocking to reliably free something to fully own it. You can't always be lucky like PS4 or previous Apple stuff, but again, usually it becomes harder and harder and harder. But yeah. For whether it's possible, they just launched a MacBook with touchscreen. I don't think so. They have not done for 20 years. There was even 15 years ago this mod book or whatever that was of this company of third-party installing. Or was it by the way Corellium? What I mispronounced so much. Corellium or so. I guess, yeah, Corellium. And there was some mod book or whatever that was called with some touch screen here, and people wanted this already since long like 2008 apparently, but I don't think so. They segmented this market so clearly, and I don't see, I rather see them abandoning the Macs. I see them rather like in 5 years, each year, as I said, merge that a little bit more, that until in 5 years you see no difference and there will only be iOS left. And maybe I should have pointed this out more. And why do they do this? Although I said Tim Apple just counting right, because they earn money. The services grows. This is a billion market of billion extra revenues of app sales with a closed platform, and they would of course be stupid. Stupid. This is just not. I always say the companies are not your friend. They are money maximizing machines, and Tim Apple only sees not the future of humanity and computing and society, but only the future of revenue growth. And they can cash in so much more, starting from the accessory made for iOS, iPhone and pet program license fees with each external accessory sold, to the wallet garden, the app store, and even previous videos, they don't even stop scams. They even cash in the 30% of millions of scams of the random bullshit in there. So yeah, I think that is my impression. Unfortunately, I hate this as much as you do. This is also why I vote with my wallet and buy my own AMD Threadripping, AMD Ryzen stuff and RISC-V unmatched boards and so on, because these are not devices. In the meantime, I already get depressive sitting on a Mac, the way I'm locked in there, and for me, it's already working on a Mac is like feeling freedom taken away from me, and I rather do here my Linux stuff and other projects on my AMD Ryzen workstation. Although you see we still have some Mac stuff and iOS stuff here, but I don't even like working on a Mac anymore, right? And maybe more people realize this, and maybe we should come up with some proper hashtag of right to own your devices and stuff, because I mean, this is not least devices that Apple tells you what should be locked, and not sure if this should be combined with rights to repair, although it's a slightly different thing, certainly. No, this also was an iPad, always life having this. Probably should not be combined with right to repair. In my opinion, there should be a right to fully own your device, and not this jailbreaking, this bootloader vendor locked in stuff. So yeah, as usual, I only wanted, I need to somehow get better making this more. Maybe I should actually pre-edit more often. Otherwise, the discussion, this stuff always makes the streams like twice as long as I target. Brandur writes, Microsoft tried to merge mobile with workstation. Well, Apple does so as well, right? This is simply the same OS and a lot of APIs. And they made macOS, in fact, already more touch-friendly, right? So it's not like this is not touch-friendly. So what else do we have there? Typical Apple. Sam is always put off getting Apple, and Universal App Force has been cancelled. Sorry, just joined. Well, you can. This Universal is iOS app-based, right? And this is also, they, again, what I said, they don't bring macOS features or openness to iOS. They brought iOS support to macOS. Maybe I should have pointed this more cleanly out of. I think I said it though, that to me the whole device choice of Apple hating Macs and loving iOS devices here with the hardware choices and offerings, and that they bring iOS features to macOS, to me looks more and more as much as they don't confirm this, but more merging this to an iOS platform, iOS only platform where they can make much more money. It is as simple as it. And Mac was always great because allowed to get polished POSIX compliance experience with Big Sur and fast community stepping up the game will make the jump. So yeah, David May agrees also for me, right? I brought PowerPC hardware to have PowerPC. I was using the Mac a long time. Also, I enjoyed using macOS much more before it became so much more locked in. Nowadays, you want to do, as a developer, you want to do something like ding dong, you're not allowed to do that. Code sign this, put your password here. It's like, yeah, all I wanted was a small test program. So yeah. More comments, Apple changed direction. They moved to just service media consumption demographic. More people think iPad OS is far more advanced than macOS now. I wouldn't. This is mostly the same, right? This is even Apple. So Apple is successful in like giving you this marketing message, but under the hood, they are 99% identical. There are very little, and also, I mean, macOS is still more powerful, right? More open APIs for USB, Thunderbolt, and more openness, giving you potential improved productivity boost in just doing what you want to do. Using a regular computer now feels ancient. Old technology, forget using a desktop, that's even more ancient. Well, for me, I get next to nothing done. I mean, what do you mean? I could 95% of my work I couldn't done on a compromised device as vendor locked in and not multi-windows, not like simply running some script or virtual machine. And sure, there are strange solutions of remote connecting and extremely slow QEMU based emulation, but it is super slow, right? And this is also Apple claiming innovation and superiority, but in reality you need to find workarounds and loopholes of you can't run a Windows machine, you need to run it on a data center and remote connect, and then your Wi-Fi and cellular connection is laggy, and other workarounds of previously this just worked and now you need an app for each small thing. People don't regret, people don't understand the iPad, that's why they complain about this. Well, what do I not, I mean, I tried to use them. I brought maybe 3 iPads. My father still has my iPad mini. How many iPads did I? Maybe I purchased 3 iPads. I tried to freaking use this, but what is not to understand, I have some pro computer science stuff to do, and app development is nearly impossible. Maybe they change this, but again, these are artificial limitations, right? So sure, I can answer some email, but even then, answering some email with the proper keyboard, I'm 10 times faster. So why should I spend extra money to answer my emails slower? And sure, some people type slow, and But yeah, it's again, it's for me, it's not overspending and overspending for less fast result, and unless I buy external keyboards, but I had them in the first place, so YOLO, whatever. Want to develop, Apple doesn't agree, manage to develop a native app without Xcode, you still need them to publish this. Running Windows feels like mishmash of afterthought, hard to go back using it after using Linux. Yeah, exactly, and sure, Windows is not amazing, I never said this, but there's certainly Linux for that. But yeah, that's mostly it. We are mostly through as usually. I somehow need to rethink my concepts here to present this even nicer. Fobev writes, iPads are great for children to play games. Poor motor skills haven't a way being laptop for adults. Yeah, we need to be really, really careful with our baby at home now. I'm really thinking, he totally loves, of course, the small rectangular phones like the Samsung or iPhone. This is super dangerous, right? As a parent, I don't want to become my children become tech addicts, and certainly even less smartphone stuff addicts. And then it's also creativity, right? With wooden blocks, with Lego bricks, you can create stuff. You can even, sure, on an iPad you can draw and write some text, but you can currently not really program. It's even like the BBC Micro and stuff in BASIC, sure, that was another level of usability, but you can be creative. And by default, this is a big difference, right? Sure, there are programming apps like this, like BASIC and Lua and probably Python and Ruby and stuff in the App Store. But that is the point, right? You cannot just go to a website and load Ruby or so. You need to go to the App Store and pay some shady third-party developer to pre-package Ruby for you or Python. And this is exactly this strangely locked in profit maximizing future that I don't appreciate the most and agree for. So yeah, that's it for this video. Thanks for joining in. I hope you learned something. Leave in the comments below what you think. We will have a reality update in some years to come. Maybe even this WWDC. Maybe they will have Xcode and for iPad. But then in 1, 2, 3, 5 years, what is still alive on the Mac platform if everything is iOS, and they are not merging it, they're just abandoning macOS and leaving iOS. So. And be careful if you spend all your hard-earned money with this stuff, because the future is a little bit, yeah. And especially with this iPad, sure, some people love it, but others may find it's a little bit compromised to get work done.